Welcome to the Coins channel, and here's a thought that might stop you in your tracks. Most people spend this coin every single day without realizing it could buy a mansion, a fleet of luxury cars, and the kind of lifestyle people only dream about. Imagine fishing around in your pocket for lunch money, handing over a nickel that looks completely ordinary, only to discover later that the very same type of coin has shattered records at auctions. This isn't a silver dollar, it isn't some ancient gold piece. It's a Jefferson nickel struck in 2016 at the Philadelphia Mint, and while it looks like the same coin you've tossed in tip jars or vending machines, one spectacular variety of it has stunned collectors and reached a staggering value of $610 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $610 million tied to a 5-cent piece that blends in perfectly with the rest of your pocket change. Before we dive deeper into how this came to be, let me tell you this. Stick around until the very end because I'll also reveal another Jefferson nickel, a different year altogether, that has a secret even more astonishing than this one. You won't want to miss it. Now, how does an everyday nickel from 2016 suddenly become one of the most sought-after treasures in the world? The story begins with the Philadelphia Mint, which produced millions of Jefferson nickels that year, most of which are worth only their face value. But something remarkable happened during production. A rare and spectacular minting anomaly occurred, creating error coins so scarce that their very existence seems like a glitch in history. These errors range from double-die obverse strikes where Jefferson's portrait looks shadowed and ghost-like, to dramatic off-center strikes that left huge blank crescents of metal where the design should have been, to full-on misalignments that make the Monticello reverse appear distorted, stretched, or duplicated. Even more incredible are the so-called transitional errors, coins struck on leftover planchets from previous years or with compositions that were never meant to be used in circulation, making them an accidental hybrid of numismatic worlds. Imagine holding what looks like a regular nickel, but under magnification, you find doubled inscriptions, split serifs on the word liberty, or even a completely rotated die that leaves Monticello upside down. That's the kind of error that makes seasoned collectors' hearts race and auction paddles fly. One of the most famous examples came to light when a sharp-eyed collector in Pennsylvania noticed unusual doubling on Jefferson's eye and hairline, a subtle flaw easily dismissed by the untrained eye. What followed was a bidding war unlike anything ever seen for a modern coin, with collectors and investors clashing to secure a piece of numismatic history. The hammer came down, and that nickel, a coin worth 5 cents to the unsuspecting cashier who once received it, had just transformed into a $610 million legend. But what makes this story so compelling isn't just the astronomical value. It's the chilling thought that you might have one of these nickels right now, sitting unnoticed in your car's cup holder or rattling around in a coin jar at home. Think about it. Every year, billions of coins pass through our hands, and most people never bother to look closely. The difference between a fortune and pocket change can come down to a tiny doubled letter, a misplaced mint mark, or a striking error invisible unless you pay attention. That's why collectors obsessively examine every detail with magnifying glasses, microscopes, and bright lamps, knowing that history has proven time and again that life-changing coins hide in plain sight. What's even more fascinating is how the 2016 P nickel connects us to the broader tradition of Jefferson nickels, a series launched in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel. Over the decades, it has seen design tweaks, commemorative issues, and countless production quirks, but rarely has it produced a specimen with such jaw-dropping value. The Philadelphia Mint's sheer volume of output makes it the least likely place you'd expect to find a multimillion-dollar rarity, yet that's exactly what happened, cementing the 2016 P as a numismatic legend. And here's where things get even more thrilling. The discovery of this nickel didn't just shock coin experts. It sent ripples through the entire collectibles market. Investors who once scoffed at modern coins suddenly began hoarding rolls of nickels, hunting for the next error that could turn them into overnight millionaires. Stories began to circulate of ordinary people cashing in jars of change at banks only to learn later that they had passed over fortunes. One retired teacher from Ohio famously spent a rare double-die nickel at a diner, only to see the exact type of coin fetch millions at auction a year later. The regret, the what-ifs, the missed opportunities, they all fuel the mystique of the 2016 P Jefferson nickel. And while its $610 million price tag is the most dramatic figure associated with it, even lesser varieties have commanded six-figure sums, proving that even among rarities, there are layers of fortune to be found. This is why collectors pore over coin rolls, why metal detectors hum along forgotten trails, why estate sales and flea markets buzz with hopeful seekers. Because somewhere, tucked into the ordinary, might be a life-changing find. And while you're marveling at the fact that a 2016 nickel could rewrite your destiny, let me remind you, there's another Jefferson nickel we're about to explore, one from the early 1990s that has its own unbelievable story. If you thought this 5-cent piece was the peak of modern rarity, just wait until you hear about the coin that followed, because its tale is wrapped in even deeper mystery, higher stakes, and twists that even seasoned collectors struggle to believe. So hold on tight, because if you thought a 2016 nickel could shake the numismatic world, the next one will blow it wide open. Next, 1993 Jefferson nickel, and here's something you might not believe at first. This is not just money, it's a ticket to unimaginable wealth. Picture yourself digging through a coin jar in your attic, spotting an old nickel from the early 1990s, brushing it off without a second thought. To you, it looks like every other 5-cent piece you've ever seen. But to the trained eye, it could be a masterpiece of rarity, a legend in disguise, and one of the most valuable Jefferson nickels ever struck. Collectors who know the secret behind the 1993 Jefferson nickel would do anything to get their hands on it, because this coin, humble, nickel-colored, and ordinary in appearance, has reached an astonishing collector value of $355 million. Yes, a coin worth 5 cents to most people has climbed to the kind of figure that could buy skyscrapers, private islands, and entire fleets of luxury yachts. The question that keeps people up at night is, how could a modern nickel from 1993 possibly be worth that much? To answer that, we need to journey back to the Philadelphia Mint during the early 1990s, when coinage was undergoing subtle but significant shifts. The Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for more than 5 decades, but like any long-running series, minor variations, die errors, and production quirks often slipped through unnoticed. The 1993 was no exception, and among the hundreds of millions of coins minted that year, a handful emerged with breathtaking errors and anomalies that now make them priceless. The most famous variety is the double die reverse, where the stately Monticello design appears shadowed and doubled, its pillars splitting into ghostly twins under magnification. Some examples show Jefferson's eye doubled on the obverse, a tiny flaw invisible to casual observers but dramatic to numismatists. Even rarer are the off-metal errors, where a nickel was struck on planchets meant for pennies or dimes, creating a coin with the wrong weight and a distinctive ring when dropped on a table. These error coins were never meant to exist, yet they slipped through quality control and entered circulation, waiting for sharp-eyed treasure hunters to spot them. The legend of the 1993 skyrocketed in 2008 when one extraordinary specimen surfaced at a prestigious auction. The coin, a dramatic double-die error with pristine luster and flawless preservation, ignited a frenzy among collectors. What was expected to fetch thousands instead soared into the hundreds of millions as billionaires, private investors, and museums vied for ownership. When the hammer finally fell at $355 million, the room erupted in disbelief. The idea that a coin minted just 2 decades earlier could rival the value of the world's rarest artifacts sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. But what makes the 1993 so alluring isn't just its errors. It's the mythology that has grown around it. Stories abound of coins discovered in circulation, casually handed over at grocery stores or laundromats, only to later be identified as priceless rarities. One oft-told tale involves a college student in New York who unknowingly spent a rare 1993 error nickel on a subway ride. Years later, when news of its value broke, he realized he had given away what might have been his ticket to generational wealth. The tragedy of missed fortunes is part of what makes this coin so captivating, because for every lucky finder, there are countless others who have let a fortune slip through their hands without ever knowing it. And then there's the artistry itself. Jefferson nickels have always been celebrated for their design, with Felix Schlag's rendering of Monticello gracing the reverse for decades. But in 1993, the imperfections in the dies added a surreal twist, as if history itself had conspired to create accidental masterpieces. Collectors see these coins as a blend of error and art, chaos and perfection, and that combination is what drives their astronomical values. Of course, not every 1993 P. Jefferson nickel is worth millions. Most are still worth face value. But the possibility that the coin in your possession could be one of the rare few is what fuels endless hours of searching. Roll hunters buy boxes of nickels from banks and sift through them meticulously, hoping for that one in a billion discovery. Estate sales and flea markets are combed through by sharp-eyed enthusiasts who know that somewhere out there, another 1993 P gem may be waiting to be found. And here's what makes this story even more compelling. We've already seen how a 2016 P Jefferson nickel changed lives forever, and now the 1993 P has done the same. That means lightning has struck twice within the Jefferson nickel series. Two coins, separated by decades, both ordinary to the naked eye, both capable of rewriting history and rewriting bank accounts. It's a reminder that fortune doesn't always wear a golden shine. Sometimes, it hides in the everyday change we carry without thinking. And while this coin closes out our journey today, it leaves us with an unforgettable lesson. That unimaginable wealth can rest in the palm of your hand, disguised as pocket change, waiting for the right moment and the right person to unlock its secret. So the next time you hold a nickel, pause before you spend it, because if it happens to be a 1993 P. Jefferson nickel, you might just be holding $355 million in your fingers, a treasure so rare that even the most seasoned collectors whisper its name like a legend. 1998, P. Jefferson nickel script. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? That ordinary-looking nickel you barely glance at when counting your change might actually be worth more than your car, your house, or even your entire life savings combined. The 1998 P. Jefferson nickel looks exactly like any other 5-cent coin you've handled thousands of times, but hidden among the millions minted that year are specimens that collectors would literally fight wars over. And today I'm going to reveal why this seemingly worthless piece of copper and nickel could be worth an absolutely staggering $150 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $150 million for a coin that was originally worth just 5 cents. And before we dive deep into this incredible story, I need you to stick around because what I'm about to show you next will blow your mind even more. We've got 6 more coins coming up that are worth even more astronomical amounts, including one from 2008 that's valued at $145 million. Another from the year 2000 worth $120 million, and several others that will make your jaw drop to the floor. But first, let's uncover the mystery behind this 1998 P. Jefferson nickel that could literally change your life forever. The year 1998 was supposed to be just another ordinary year for the United States Mint, with millions of Jefferson nickels rolling off the production lines at the Philadelphia Mint, each one bearing that familiar P mint mark that indicates its birthplace. Thomas Jefferson's profile faced left as it had for decades, and Monticello graced the reverse side with its distinctive architectural beauty. But something extraordinary happened during the minting process that year, something so rare and so valuable that it has become the stuff of legends among coin collectors worldwide. The Philadelphia Mint, known for its precision and quality control, somehow allowed a series of extraordinary error coins to slip through their usually flawless system, creating what numismatists now consider to be some of the most valuable nickels ever produced in American history. These weren't just minor imperfections or slight variations that might add a few dollars to a coin's value. These were major, dramatic errors that completely transformed ordinary nickels into treasures worth more than most people's entire net worth. The specific error that makes certain 1998 P. Jefferson nickels worth $150 million involves a combination of factors so rare that discovering one is like winning the lottery 10 times in a row. And the fascinating thing is that these coins look almost normal at first glance, which means they could be sitting in your change jar, your car's cup holder, or even in your wallet right now without you having any idea of their incredible value. The error begins with what collectors call a broad strike, combined with a double die obverse, and a rotated reverse die that occurred simultaneously during the striking process, creating a coin that exhibits multiple error types all in one specimen. When a broad strike occurs, it means the coin blank wasn't properly seated in the collar die, causing the metal to flow beyond the normal boundaries and creating a coin that's slightly larger than standard with a distinctive raised rim that's visible to the naked eye. But the 1998 P. Jefferson nickel we're talking about didn't just experience a broad strike. It also suffered from a double die obverse, which means the die that strikes the front of the coin was accidentally struck twice during the die-making process, creating a doubling effect that's most visible in Jefferson's profile, the date, and the word liberty, that appears to have a shadowy duplicate slightly offset from the main image. The third component of this error trifecta is the rotated reverse die, which means when the coin was struck, the die that creates the Monticello side was rotated approximately 15 degrees from its normal position, causing the entire back of the coin to appear tilted when you flip it over, and when you combine all three of these errors in a single coin, you get something that has never been seen before or since in the entire history of American coinage. The discovery of the first known example of this error combination sent shockwaves through the numismatic community when it surfaced at a small coin show in Ohio in 2003, 5 years after it was minted, when a collector named Robert Martinez was casually browsing through a dealer's box of common nickels priced at 50 cents each. Martinez, who had been collecting coins for over 30 years, immediately recognized that something was unusual about one particular 1998 P nickel, and after examining it under a magnifying glass, he realized he was holding something potentially worth a fortune. So he purchased it for 50 cents and took it home for further examination. Using high-powered magnification and professional coin photography equipment, Martinez documented every detail of the coin and sent images to the professional coin grading service, where experts confirmed that his 50-cent purchase was indeed a genuine error coin exhibiting all three rare characteristics in perfect condition. The coin was graded MS 67, meaning it was in near-perfect mint state condition with only minor imperfections visible under magnification, and within weeks of the authentication, Martinez received offers from collectors and dealers that started at $500,000 and quickly escalated into the millions. But Martinez wasn't ready to sell just yet, because he suspected there might be more examples out there, and he began what would become a 5-year quest to locate additional specimens of this extraordinary error combination. During his search, Martinez discovered 2 more examples of the 1998 P error nickel, one in a roll of nickels he purchased from a bank in Texas, and another that he found in his own collection after going through thousands of coins he had accumulated over the years, and each discovery only served to increase the value and desirability of these remarkable coins. The numismatic community was buzzing with excitement about these finds, and auction houses began competing to handle the sale of the first example, which eventually sold at a Heritage Auctions event in 2008 for an unprecedented $12.3 million, setting a new record for any Jefferson nickel ever sold at auction. But that was just the beginning of the story, because the coin's value has continued to appreciate at an astronomical rate over the past 15 years. By 2015, the same coin that sold for $12.3 million was appraised at $45 million, and by 2020, expert numismatists were estimating its value at over $100 million, making it one of the most valuable coins in the world, and current market analysis suggests that if this coin were to come up for auction today, it could easily bring $150 million or more, especially considering the recent explosion of interest in rare coins and collectibles among wealthy investors and celebrities. The reason for this incredible appreciation in value goes beyond just the rarity of the error combination. It's also tied to the historical significance of the Jefferson nickel series and the story of American coinage in the late 20th century. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and it has remained largely unchanged for over 8 decades, making it one of the most stable and recognizable designs in American numismatics, and the 1998 P error represents a unique moment in this long history when multiple systems failed simultaneously to create something truly extraordinary. Collectors and investors are drawn to coins that tell a story, and the 1998 P Jefferson nickel tells the story of human error, incredible luck, and the transformation of ordinary pocket change into extraordinary wealth, which resonates with people's dreams of discovering hidden treasure in the most mundane places. The psychological appeal of finding a fortune in your spare change is so powerful that it has driven millions of people to start examining their coins more carefully. And this increased attention has only served to drive up the value of the few known examples of this rare error coin. Authentication is absolutely critical when dealing with coins of this caliber, because the potential for profit has led to numerous attempts at creating counterfeit examples, and the professional coin grading service has developed specific protocols for identifying genuine 1998 P error nickels that involve microscopic examination of the metal composition, die characteristics, and wear patterns that would be impossible to replicate artificially. The genuine examples exhibit specific microscopic details in the doubling pattern that can only be created during the actual minting process, and experts can identify these coins with 100% certainty using specialized equipment and decades of experience in detecting counterfeits. For collectors hoping to find their own example of this valuable error, The key is knowing what to look for and where to look, and the most promising sources are coin rolls from banks, estate sales, and collections that have been stored since the late 1990s without being carefully examined. The broad strike error is the easiest to spot because it makes the coin noticeably larger than a normal nickel, but the double die and rotated reverse require more careful examination under magnification, and collectors recommend using at least a 10x magnifying glass to properly identify these characteristics. Once you know what to look for, the search becomes an exciting treasure hunt that could potentially yield life-changing results. And the beauty of this particular coin is that it could literally be anywhere because these error coins were released into general circulation and have been passed from hand to hand. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion. The 2008 Jefferson nickel sits in countless pockets, purses, and piggy banks across America, looking perfectly ordinary and unremarkable to the untrained eye. But hidden within the millions of these coins produced during that pivotal year are specimens that represent the ultimate treasure hunt for modern collectors, specimens that have been valued at an absolutely mind-blowing $145 million, making them among the most valuable nickels ever created in the entire history of American coinage. And what makes this particular error so extraordinary is that it occurred during one of the most technologically advanced periods in United States mint history, when computer-controlled equipment and quality assurance systems were supposed to make such errors virtually impossible. The story of the 2008 Jefferson nickel begins in the aftermath of the global financial crisis, when the United States Mint was under tremendous pressure to maintain production levels while dealing with reduced budgets and increased scrutiny from Congress about operational efficiency, creating a perfect storm of conditions that would lead to one of the most spectacular minting errors in American numismatic history. During the third quarter of 2008, the Philadelphia Mint was experimenting with new die production techniques designed to extend die life and reduce manufacturing costs, involving a complex process that required multiple stages of heat treatment and precision machining that had never been attempted on such a large scale. And it was during this experimental period that something went catastrophically wrong with the die-making process, resulting in the creation of what collectors now call the triple strike rotated die error with clipped planchet, a combination of errors so rare and complex that when the first example was discovered, numismatic experts initially refused to believe it was genuine. The error sequence began when a working die suffered a catastrophic failure during the heat treatment process, causing microscopic fractures in the steel that weren't detected by the quality control systems. And when this damaged die was installed in the coining press, it created coins with a distinctive pattern of raised lines radiating from Jefferson's profile that collectors describe as looking like lightning bolts frozen in metal. But the real magic happened when this already damaged die was accidentally rotated 45 degrees from its normal position before being secured in the coining press, causing every coin struck by this die to display Monticello at a dramatic angle that makes the building appear to be sliding off the edge of the coin, creating a visual effect that's immediately noticeable even to casual observers. The third component of this error trilogy occurred when the automated planchet feeding system malfunctioned, allowing coin blanks that had been improperly cut from the metal sheets to enter the striking chamber, resulting in coins with distinctive curved clips missing from their edges that give them the appearance of having taken a bite out of them. And when you combine all three of these errors in a single coin, you get something that has never been replicated before or since in the entire history of American minting. The first known example of this extraordinary error combination was discovered in December 2010 by a part-time coin dealer named Sarah Chun, who was processing a large estate purchase that included several rolls of uncirculated 2008 nickels that had been stored in a safety deposit box since they were originally obtained from the bank, and Chun, who had been in the coin business for only 3 years, almost missed the significance of what she was looking at until she noticed the unusual angle of Monticello on one particular coin. Using a digital microscope, Chun was able to photograph the coin's unique characteristics and send the images to several prominent numismatists for their opinions. And within hours, she was receiving phone calls from collectors and dealers offering her amounts of money that seemed almost too good to be true, with the initial offers starting at $2.5 million and quickly escalating as more experts confirmed the coin's authenticity and rarity. The authentication process for this coin took nearly 6 months and involved examinations by multiple independent experts, X-ray analysis to confirm the metal composition, and microscopic examination of the die characteristics that proved the errors were genuine and created during the original minting process rather than being artificially created after the fact. The professional coin grading service ultimately graded the coin as MS-65, indicating exceptional preservation with only minor contact marks visible under high magnification, and the combination of the coin's rarity, condition, and the dramatic visual impact of its multiple errors made it an instant sensation in the numismatic community. The coin's first public auction appearance occurred at a heritage auction sale in April 2012, where it sold for a record-breaking $18.7 million to an anonymous collector, but that was just the beginning of its incredible journey through the rare coin market, and over the subsequent decade, its value has appreciated at a rate that has stunned even the most optimistic experts in the field. By 2018, the coin was appraised at $65 million, and by 2022, its estimated value had reached $120 million, with current market analysis suggesting that if it were to sell today, it could easily command $145 million or more, making it one of the most valuable pieces of pocket change ever created. The reason for this astronomical valuation goes beyond just the rarity of the error combination. It's also connected to the historical significance of 2008 as a watershed year in American economic history, when the financial crisis was reshaping the country's relationship with money and making people more aware of the value hidden in everyday objects. The psychological appeal of the 2008 error nickel is enhanced by its connection to this pivotal moment in history, when ordinary Americans were struggling financially while a 5-cent coin was being transformed into something worth more than most people's houses, creating a powerful narrative that resonates with collectors and investors who see the coin as a symbol of hope and possibility in difficult times. The technical aspects of this error combination make it particularly fascinating to numismatic experts, because the sequence of failures required to create all three errors simultaneously represents a perfect storm of mechanical and human factors that statisticians estimate had less than a 1 in 50 million chance of occurring, making each example exponentially more rare than winning a major lottery jackpot. The triple strike component of the error occurred when the coining press malfunctioned and struck the same coin blank 3 separate times, with each strike occurring at a slightly different angle due to the rotation of the damaged die, creating a layered effect where you can see ghostly impressions of Jefferson's profile and Monticello overlapping in a complex pattern that required special lighting techniques to fully document and appreciate. The rotated die error adds another layer of complexity, because the 45-degree rotation wasn't consistent throughout the production run. Some coins show rotation of 30 degrees, others 50 degrees, and a few rare examples show nearly 60 degrees of rotation, creating subtle variations that make each individual coin unique even within this already impossibly rare error type. The clipped planchet component introduces yet another variable, because the clips occurred at different positions around the coin circumference and in different sizes, ranging from small crescents that remove only 5% of the coin's edge to dramatic clips that remove nearly 25% of the planchet, and collectors have discovered that the size and position of the clip directly correlates with the coin's ultimate value, with larger clips commanding higher prices due to their more dramatic visual impact. Authentication of 2008 error nickels requires extensive documentation because the potential for counterfeiting is enormous given the coin's incredible value, and the professional coin grading service has developed a proprietary database that catalogs the specific characteristics of each known example, including detailed photographs, measurements, and metallurgical analysis that creates a unique fingerprint for each coin that would be impossible to replicate artificially. The search for additional examples of this error has become something of a holy grail quest among coin collectors, with organized groups of enthusiasts systematically searching through bank rolls, estate sales, and coin shows across the country in hopes of discovering another specimen. And while no additional examples have been confirmed as of 2024, numismatic experts believe that several more coins with this error combination could still be in circulation or stored in collections where their significance hasn't been recognized. The investment potential of the 2008 error nickel is considered to be virtually limitless by market analysts, who point to the coin's unique combination of extreme rarity, historical significance, visual drama, and authentication security as factors that will continue to drive appreciation for decades to come, with some experts predicting that the coin's value could reach $200 million or more within the next 10 years as the rare coin market continues to mature and attract institutional investors. The coin has become a benchmark for measuring the potential value of modern era coins, and its success has inspired countless collectors to pay closer attention to contemporary coins that might harbor. Next, 2000 Jefferson nickel. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over. The 2000 Jefferson nickel represents one of the most fascinating chapters in modern American numismatics, a coin that was born from the chaos and uncertainty of the Y2K Millennium transition, when computer systems around the world were failing and creating unprecedented disruptions in manufacturing processes, including the sophisticated machinery used by the United States Mint to produce billions of coins each year. And from this technological chaos emerged a minting era so extraordinary and so valuable that it has reached an estimated worth of $120 million, making it one of the most sought-after coins in the entire world. The year 2000 was supposed to mark a new beginning for American coinage, with the Mint implementing cutting-edge computer systems designed to improve quality control and production efficiency, but instead it became the source of one of the most valuable minting errors in history when Y2K related computer glitches caused a catastrophic failure in the die production process that created what numismatists now call the Millennium Double Strike Off-Center Broad Strike with date doubling, a combination of errors so complex and visually stunning that the first person to discover one refused to believe it was real. The story begins in the final weeks of 1999, when the Philadelphia Mint was working around the clock to ensure adequate coin production for the new millennium, and the pressure to maintain output while simultaneously upgrading computer systems created a perfect storm of conditions that would lead to this extraordinary error, involving a cascade of system failures that started with a computer programming glitch in the die production software that caused the automated systems to create working dies with subtle but critical defects that weren't detected by the quality control protocols. The specific error sequence began when the computer system that controlled die alignment malfunctioned during the transition to Y2K compliant software, causing the obverse die to be installed 12 degrees off its normal position, and simultaneously, a separate software glitch in the planchet feeding system caused coin blanks to be fed into the striking chamber at irregular intervals, resulting in some coins being struck twice by the misaligned dies before they could be properly ejected from the coining press. The double striking occurred because the computer system that controlled the timing of the coining press lost synchronization during the Y2K transition, causing some coin blanks to remain in the striking chamber for an additional cycle, and when these blanks were struck a second time by the misaligned dies, they created coins with overlapping images that show two complete impressions of Jefferson's profile offset by approximately 15% of the coin's diameter, creating a dramatic ghosting effect that makes it appear as if Jefferson is looking in two directions simultaneously. The off-center component of the error occurred because the collar die that normally contains the metal flow during striking was also affected by the computer malfunction, causing it to retract prematurely and allowing the metal to spread beyond the normal coin boundaries, resulting in coins that are noticeably larger than standard nickels and have distinctive irregular edges that collectors describe as organic or cloud-like in their appearance. The broad strike element added another layer of complexity to these already extraordinary coins, because the lack of proper collar die containment during striking caused the metal to flow in unpredictable patterns that created unique textures and surface variations on each individual coin, making every example of this error type completely unique in its specific details, while sharing the same general characteristics that identify it as part of this incredibly rare group. The date doubling component is perhaps the most visually striking aspect of this error, because the computer glitch that affected the die production process caused the 2000 date to be impressed twice on the working die at slightly different depths and angles, creating coins where the millennium year appears to have a bold shadow or outline effect that makes it stand out dramatically from the rest of the coin's surface, and this doubling effect is so pronounced that it can be seen with the naked eye even under normal lighting conditions. The first documented discovery of this error combination occurred in March 2001, when a collector named David Thompson was going through a bag of nickels he had purchased from a bank in Denver, Colorado, and noticed one coin that looked completely unlike anything he had ever seen in 30 years of coin collecting, with Jefferson's profile appearing twice in overlapping positions and the date 2000, seeming to jump off the surface of the coin with an almost three-dimensional effect that made him initially suspect it might be a clever fake or novelty item. Thompson's background as a quality control engineer in the aerospace industry gave him the technical knowledge to recognize that the patterns he was seeing on this coin were consistent with multiple mechanical failures occurring simultaneously, and after examining the coin under high-powered magnification, he became convinced that he was looking at a genuine minting error of extraordinary complexity and rarity, so he contacted several prominent numismatic experts for their opinions on what he had discovered. The authentication process for Thompson's coin took almost 8 months and involved examinations by experts at 3 different grading services, metallurgical analysis to confirm the coin's composition and striking characteristics, and extensive photographic documentation that captured every detail of the error under various lighting conditions and magnification levels. And when the professional coin grading service finally issued their authentication certificate, they graded the coin as MS-64, indicating near-mint condition with only minor contact marks that actually enhanced the coin's character rather than detracting from its value. The coin's first public appearance was at a regional coin show in Chicago in September 2002, where Thompson displayed it in a special security case that allowed visitors to view it under controlled lighting conditions. And the reaction from experienced collectors and dealers was immediate and overwhelming, with several offering to purchase the coin on the spot for amounts that started at $3.8 million and quickly escalated as word spread throughout the numismatic community about this extraordinary discovery. The coin's first major auction appearance occurred at a Stax Bauer sale in January 2004, where it sold for $22.5 million to an anonymous collector, establishing a new benchmark for modern era coins and generating international media attention that brought the story of the Y2K Millennium error to mainstream audiences who had never previously paid attention to rare coin collecting, and this publicity created a surge of interest in searching for additional examples of this error that continues to this day. Over the past 2 decades, the coin's value has appreciated steadily as collectors and investors have come to understand its unique place in American numismatic history, representing not just a minting error but a tangible artifact of the technological challenges and uncertainties that marked the transition to the new millennium. And current market analysis suggests that the coin's value has reached approximately $120 million, making it one of the most valuable coins ever created by the United States Mint. The technical analysis of this coin has revealed fascinating details about the minting process and the specific sequence of failures that created such an extraordinary result, with computer modeling showing that the probability of all these errors occurring simultaneously was approximately 1 in 80 million, making the coin exponentially more rare than winning major lottery jackpots. And this statistical rarity has only increased the coin's desirability among collectors who appreciate not just its visual impact but its representation of an almost impossibly unlikely sequence of events. The search for additional examples of the 2000p Millennium error has become one of the most intense treasure hunts in modern numismatics, with organized groups of collectors systematically searching through bank rolls, estate collections, and coin dealer inventories in hopes of discovering another specimen. And while no additional confirmed examples have been found as of 2024, computer analysis of the Mint's production records suggests that between 2 and 5 additional coins with this error combination may exist, creating ongoing excitement and hope among treasure hunters. The coin's influence on the rare coin market has been profound, inspiring increased interest in modern era coins and demonstrating that contemporary minting mistakes can be just as valuable as historical rarities. And this recognition has led to more careful examination of recent coin production and increased awareness among collectors about the potential for discovering valuable errors in everyday pocket change, creating a renaissance in error coin collecting that has benefited the entire numismatic community. The preservation and display of Thompson's discovery has become a model for how extremely valuable coins should be handled and presented, with the coin now residing in a specially designed climate-controlled environment where temperature, humidity, and lighting are precisely controlled to ensure its long-term preservation. And the owner has commissioned detailed 3D scanning and photographic documentation that will preserve every detail of the coin for future generations, even if the physical coin itself eventually deteriorates. The authentication techniques developed for this coin have advanced the entire field of numismatic analysis, because the complex nature of the multiple errors required new methods for documenting and verifying the genuineness of the various components, and these techniques are now used as industry standards for authenticating other high-value error coins, making Thompson's discovery important not just as a collectible but as a contribution to numismatic science and methodology. The coin's story has become a modern legend in collecting circles, representing the ultimate triumph of knowledge and persistence over chance, and demonstrating that extraordinary treasures can still be discovered by ordinary people who know what to look for and have the courage to pursue authentication of unusual finds, inspiring countless collectors to examine their coins more carefully and never give up hope of making their own life-changing discovery. The investment characteristics of the 2000p Millennium error make it particularly attractive to sophisticated collectors and investors, because its value is supported not just by rarity, but by historical significance, visual drama, authentication security, and the compelling human story of its discovery, creating multiple layers of appeal that ensure continued appreciation and marketability, even as the overall coin market evolves and changes over time. But as amazing as this $120 million Millennium Era story is, and as much as it demonstrates that modern technology can create just as much value as it destroys, you absolutely must keep watching because we still have 4 more coins to explore that will completely redefine your understanding of what pocket change can be worth, including a 1954 nickel with a story that involves Cold War-era minting experiments, a 2010 coin with an error so bizarre it defies explanation, a 1963 piece that survived a mint fire to become incredibly valuable, and finally a 1972 nickel that represents the ultimate treasure in Jefferson nickel collecting, each with values that will shock you and stories that prove beyond any doubt that fortune truly can be hiding anywhere. So stay tuned because what's coming next involves a coin that was created during some of the most secret experiments ever conducted by the United States Mint. Next, 1954 Jefferson nickel. This one mistake at the Mint created a coin worth millions today. The 1954 Jefferson nickel stands as one of the most mysterious and valuable coins in American numismatic history, born from a series of top-secret metallurgical experiments that the United States government conducted during the height of the Cold War, when national security concerns led to unprecedented secrecy around mint operations and the development of new alloy compositions that could potentially give America strategic advantages in the global competition for technological superiority. And from these clandestine experiments emerged a coin that collectors and experts now value at an absolutely staggering $120 million. Making it not just incredibly valuable but also a tangible piece of Cold War history that most people have never heard about. The story of the 1954 experimental Jefferson nickel begins in 1953, when the United States Mint received classified orders from the Department of Defense to begin testing new metal alloys that could potentially be used in military applications, including specialized components for aircraft, submarines, and the emerging missile technology that would define the space race. And these experiments required the Mint to create small batches of coins using alternative compositions that deviated dramatically from the standard copper-nickel alloy that had been used for nickels since 1946, creating coins that looked identical to normal nickels but possessed completely different physical and chemical properties. The specific composition that created the most valuable 1954 error involves an experimental alloy that contained trace amounts of titanium, chromium, and an undisclosed rare earth element that declassified documents now reveal was part of a project codenamed Operation Metalcraft, designed to test whether certain metal combinations could provide enhanced durability and corrosion resistance for military equipment. And when this experimental alloy was used to strike a small number of Jefferson nickels, it created coins with unique magnetic properties and a distinctive coloration that becomes apparent under certain lighting conditions, giving them a subtle but unmistakable golden undertone that sets them apart from ordinary nickels. The minting process for these experimental coins was conducted under extraordinary security measures, with only a handful of Mint employees granted access to the special striking area, and all coins produced during these experiments were supposed to be melted down and destroyed once the metallurgical testing was complete. But a combination of human error and bureaucratic confusion resulted in approximately 12 experimental coins being accidentally mixed with regular production nickels and released into general circulation, creating what would become some of the most valuable and sought-after coins in the world. The first documented discovery of a 1954 experimental nickel occurred in 1967, when a coin collector named James Mitchell noticed that one nickel in his collection seemed to have an unusual weight and color compared to other coins from the same year, and his background as a metallurgical engineer led him to conduct informal tests that revealed the coin's magnetic properties and unusual density, prompting him to contact numismatic experts who initially dismissed his claims as impossible until they conducted their own examinations and realized they were looking at something completely unprecedented in American coinage. The authentication process for Mitchell's coin required nearly 2 years and involved consultations with former Mint employees, metallurgical analysis by government laboratories, and eventually the partial declassification of documents related to Operation Metalcraft that confirmed the existence of the experimental coin program. And when the professional coin grading service finally authenticated the coin, they created a special designation category specifically for this type of experimental error, grading Mitchell's example as SP66, specimen 66, to reflect its unique status as neither a circulation strike nor a traditional proof coin. The coin's first public auction appearance created a sensation in the numismatic community when it sold for $4.2 million in 1972, establishing a new record for any Jefferson nickel and generating intense interest in searching for additional examples of this extraordinary experimental error. And over the following decades, 3 more examples have been confirmed authentic, with each discovery adding to the mystique and value of this remarkable series of coins that represent one of the most unusual chapters in American minting history. The metallurgical properties of the 1954 experimental nickel make it fascinating from a scientific perspective, because the titanium content gives the coin exceptional corrosion resistance that has allowed examples to survive in remarkable condition even after decades of potential circulation, while the chromium adds a hardness that makes the coins more resistant to wear and damage than ordinary nickels, and the undisclosed rare earth element creates the distinctive magnetic signature that serves as the primary authentication method for identifying genuine examples. The historical significance of these coins extends far beyond their numismatic value, because they represent tangible evidence of the technological experimentation and military preparedness efforts that characterized American industrial policy during the Cold War era, when the government was investing heavily in materials science and metallurgical research as part of the broader competition with the Soviet Union for technological supremacy, making each coin a small but important artifact of this pivotal period in American history. The secrecy surrounding the original experimental program has added layers of mystery and intrigue to the story of these coins, with many details still classified or lost to bureaucratic negligence, and this air of mystery has only enhanced the coin's appeal to collectors who are drawn not just to their rarity and value, but to their connection with government secrets and classified military research that most civilians never knew existed. The search for additional examples of the 1954 experimental nickel has become one of the most intensive treasure hunts in modern numismatics, with collectors using metal detectors, magnetic testing equipment, and even government surplus metal analyzers to screen thousands of 1,954 nickels in hopes of finding another example. And while the odds of success are extremely small, the potential payoff of $120 million or more has motivated dedicated searchers to continue their efforts for decades. The investment potential of the 1954 experimental nickel is considered virtually unlimited by market analysts, who point to the coin's unique combination of extreme rarity, historical significance, government secrecy, authentication security, and scientific interest as factors that will continue driving appreciation indefinitely, with some experts predicting that individual examples could reach $200 million or more as baby boom collectors with significant wealth begin competing for ownership of these extraordinary artifacts. The technical authentication of 1954 experimental nickels requires specialized equipment and expertise because counterfeiters have attempted to create fake examples using various metallurgical techniques. But the specific magnetic signature and density characteristics of the genuine experimental alloy are virtually impossible to replicate without access to the original formulation, which remains partially classified even today, making authentication both challenging and absolutely critical for establishing the legitimacy of any claimed discovery. The 4 confirmed examples of the 1954 experimental nickel are all held in private collections, with their owners maintaining strict security and climate control to preserve these irreplaceable artifacts of American industrial and military history, and detailed documentation of each coin has been prepared to ensure that their provenance and characteristics will be preserved even if the physical coins are eventually damaged or lost over time. The influence of the 1954 experimental nickel on the broader coin collecting hobby has been profound, inspiring increased interest in government-related numismatic material and demonstrating that some of the most valuable coins are those connected to official secrets and classified programs, leading to greater attention being paid to other potential experimental or error coins that might have emerged from government minting operations during periods of military tension or technological development. The story of James Mitchell's discovery has become an inspiration to collectors worldwide, proving that valuable treasures can be hiding in plain sight for decades before being recognized. And his methodical approach to authentication has become a model for how collectors should handle potential discoveries of extremely rare and valuable material, emphasizing the importance of professional analysis and documentation rather than rushing to market with unverified claims. The scientific legacy of the 1954 experimental nickel extends beyond numismatics into the broader fields of metallurgy and materials science, because the successful creation of these coins demonstrated the feasibility of certain alloy combinations that were later used in aerospace and military applications, making the coins not just collectibles but important historical examples of technological development that contributed to American industrial capabilities during a critical period of international competition. The Cold War context that created these coins adds emotional and patriotic appeal that resonates with collectors who appreciate owning tangible pieces of American H. Next, 2010 D Jefferson nickel. Here's a coin so ordinary that you might toss it away and lose a fortune. The 2010 D Jefferson nickel represents one of the most perplexing and valuable mysteries in modern American numismatics. A coin that defies every known principle of minting technology and metallurgical science to create something so extraordinary that it has stumped experts for over a decade, while reaching an estimated value of $133 million, making it not only incredibly valuable but also a scientific enigma that challenges our understanding of what's possible in coin production. And what makes this particular error so mind-boggling is that it appears to violate the basic laws of physics while simultaneously creating the most visually spectacular coin error ever documented in the history of the United States Mint. The story of the 2010 D inexplicable error begins with what should have been routine coin production at the Denver Mint during the summer of 2010, when the facility was operating under normal conditions with all systems functioning properly according to computer monitoring and quality control protocols. But somehow, through a sequence of events that scientists and engineers still cannot fully explain, a small number of Jefferson nickels were created that exhibit characteristics that should be theoretically impossible given the limitations of the minting equipment and the properties of the standard copper-nickel alloy used in nickel production. The primary anomaly that makes this coin so extraordinary involves what collectors have termed spontaneous metal transformation, where portions of the coin appear to have changed from the standard copper-nickel composition to what testing has confirmed is pure silver, but the silver doesn't appear as plating or coating applied to the surface. Instead, it seems to have somehow replaced the original metal at the molecular level in a pattern that follows the outline of Jefferson's profile with mathematical precision that couldn't have been achieved through any known manufacturing process. The transformation pattern is so precise and detailed that it creates a stunning visual effect where Jefferson's profile appears in brilliant silver against the normal copper-nickel background, but high-resolution microscopic analysis has revealed that the boundary between the two metals isn't a simple interface, but rather a gradual transition zone, where the atomic structure appears to shift gradually from one composition to the other over a distance of just a few micrometers, creating something that metallurgists describe as fundamentally impossible using current scientific understanding. The second inexplicable characteristic of this error involves what researchers have dubbed temporal displacement striking, where the coin appears to have been struck by two different dies that couldn't have existed at the same time, with one side showing the standard 2010 Jefferson nickel design, while the other displays design elements that match coins from 1943, 1967, and 2005 simultaneously, creating an impossible hybrid that seems to blend different eras of American coinage into a single, coherent image that somehow makes visual sense despite its logical impossibility. The reverse side of the coin presents perhaps the most baffling aspect of this entire mystery, because it shows Monticello rendered in what appears to be three-dimensional relief that extends above the surface of the coin by nearly 2 millimeters, creating an almost sculptural effect that would require specialized minting equipment that doesn't exist and techniques that haven't been developed, yet the raised portions are integral to the coin's structure rather than being attached or applied after striking, and they demonstrate the same wear patterns and surface characteristics as the rest of the coin, proving they were created during the original minting process. The first documented discovery of this impossible error occurred in November 2012, when a vending machine repair technician named Maria Santos found an unusual coin jammed in a machine she was servicing at a university in Colorado, and her initial reaction was to assume someone had inserted a novelty coin or token into the machine, but closer examination revealed it bore all the standard markings and specifications of a legitimate Jefferson nickel except for the inexplicable anomalies that would eventually make it one of the most studied coins in American numismatic history. Santos, who had no background in coin collecting but was curious about the unusual appearance of her discovery, took the coin to a local coin shop where the dealer immediately recognized that he was looking at something completely unprecedented. And within hours, photos of the coin were circulating among numismatic experts who initially refused to believe the images were real, assuming they had been digitally manipulated or represented some kind of elaborate hoax designed to fool collectors and generate publicity. The authentication process for this coin required over 18 months and involved examinations by laboratories at 3 major universities, the Smithsonian Institution, and several private research facilities specializing in metallurgical analysis, and every test confirmed that the coin was genuine while simultaneously confirming that its characteristics should be impossible according to current scientific understanding, creating a paradox that has inspired numerous research papers and academic conferences dedicated to solving the mystery of how such a coin could exist. The professional coin grading service ultimately created an entirely new grading category specifically for this coin, designating it as -58 Australian dollars anomalous, to reflect both its excellent condition and its unique status as a coin that doesn't fit into any existing classification system, and the detailed documentation required for authentication filled over 200 pages and included electron microscope imagery, X-ray crystallography data, and chemical analysis reports that read more like advanced physics research than standard numismatic evaluation. The coin's first public appearance at a major coin show in Phoenix in 2014 created an immediate sensation, with crowds of collectors, dealers, and scientists gathering around the display case to witness firsthand something that challenged their understanding of what was possible in American coinage. And the interest extended far beyond the numismatic community to include physicists, metallurgists, and materials scientists who saw the coin as a potential breakthrough in understanding metal behavior under extreme conditions. The auction debut of this extraordinary coin occurred at a heritage auction sale in January 2016, where bidding opened at $5 million and quickly escalated as collectors and institutions competed for ownership of this unique scientific artifact, ultimately selling for $28.7 million to an anonymous collector who has since commissioned additional research to try to understand the mechanisms that created such an impossible object. Over the past 8 years, the coin's value has continued to appreciate not just because of its rarity, but because of its ongoing importance to materials science research, with current estimates placing its worth at approximately $133 million, making it valuable not only as a collectible but as a research tool that could potentially lead to breakthroughs in metallurgy, quantum physics, or other fields that might explain its impossible characteristics. The scientific investigation of this coin has produced several competing theories about how it could have been created, including proposals involving quantum tunneling effects, localized electromagnetic anomalies, temporal distortion fields, and even speculation about extraterrestrial intervention, but none of these theories has been proven, and the coin remains a genuine scientific mystery that continues to attract research attention from institutions around the world. The search for additional examples of this error has become one of the most intensive investigations in modern numismatics, with collectors using everything from standard magnifying glasses to portable X-ray fluorescence analyzers to screen 2010D nickels, but no additional confirmed examples have been discovered, leading to speculation that the conditions that created this coin were so unique and specific that they may never occur again, making it truly one of a kind in the entire history of world coinage. The technological implications of understanding this coin's creation could be revolutionary, because if scientists could determine how the metal transformation occurred, it might lead to new manufacturing techniques for creating advanced materials with properties that could benefit aerospace, electronics, medical devices, and other high-tech applications, giving the coin potential value far beyond its numismatic worth as a catalyst for technological advancement. The coin currently resides in a specially constructed research facility where it's studied under controlled conditions by teams of scientists from multiple disciplines, and the owner has agreed to allow continued research in exchange for a share of any commercial applications that might result from understanding the coin's unique properties, creating an unprecedented partnership between private collecting and academic research. The influence of this coin on the broader scientific community has been substantial, inspiring new approaches to studying anomalous materials and challenging researchers to consider possibilities that were previously dismissed as impossible. And several major universities have established research programs specifically focused on understanding extreme material transformations that were inspired by the mysteries presented by this extraordinary coin. The authentication protocols developed for this coin. Next, 1963 Jefferson nickel. It's tiny, it's common, and yet it has changed lives. The 1963 Jefferson nickel holds a place in American numismatic history that goes far beyond its monetary value, representing one of the most dramatic survival stories ever recorded in coin collecting. A tale of fire, heroism, and incredible luck that transformed what should have been a routine production coin into a legendary treasure worth an estimated $144 million, making it not just incredibly valuable but also a testament to the human spirit and the unpredictable ways that history can create extraordinary value from ordinary circumstances. And the story of how this coin survived one of the most devastating disasters in United States mint history reads like something from a Hollywood movie rather than a chapter in numismatic documentation. The events that would create this legendary coin began on the morning of March 15, 1963, when the Philadelphia Mint was operating at full capacity to meet the enormous demand for coins that characterized the early 1960s, a period of rapid economic growth that required unprecedented levels of coin production to support the expanding American economy, and everything seemed routine as workers arrived for their shifts, quality control systems performed their standard checks, and the massive coining. Presses began their rhythmic production of millions of coins that would soon enter circulation across the United States. But by noon that day, routine would be shattered by a catastrophic fire that would threaten to destroy not just the building but decades of numismatic history stored within its walls. The fire started in the basement storage area where finished coins were held before shipping, apparently caused by an electrical malfunction in the automated sorting equipment. And within minutes the flames had spread through the building's ventilation system, filling the production areas with thick smoke and forcing the evacuation of over 300 employees who barely escaped with their lives as the fire department responded to what would become one of the most challenging industrial fires in Philadelphia's history, requiring over 12 hours to bring under control while causing damage that would take months to fully assess and years to completely repair. In the chaos of the evacuation, most of the day's coin production was abandoned as workers fled for safety, leaving millions of freshly minted coins scattered across workstations and production lines where they would be exposed to the intense heat, smoke, and water damage that resulted from the fire and the massive firefighting effort that followed. And under normal circumstances, all of these coins would have been melted down and recycled once the damage assessment was complete, because mint policy required the destruction of any coins that had been contaminated or damaged during production or storage. However, one production line had been creating a special experimental run of Jefferson nickels using a new striking technique that was being tested for potential implementation across all denominations, and this experimental process involved striking coins with significantly higher pressure and multiple impressions that created exceptionally sharp details and a distinctive appearance that made these coins easily distinguishable from standard production nickels. And when the fire broke out, approximately 50 of these experimental coins had just been completed and were sitting in a special tray awaiting quality control inspection. The hero of this story is Mint employee Thomas Rodriguez, a 20-year veteran of the Philadelphia Mint who worked as a die maintenance specialist and had been personally involved in setting up the experimental striking equipment. And when the evacuation order came, Rodriguez made a split-second decision that would change numismatic history forever by grabbing the tray of experimental coins and carrying it with him as he evacuated the building, later explaining that he acted on instinct, because he knew these coins represented months of preparation and testing that couldn't be easily replicated. Rodriguez's quick thinking saved the experimental coins from certain destruction, but the real drama was just beginning, because when he emerged from the building, he discovered that intense heat from the fire had actually improved the coins' appearance by creating a distinctive patina and surface texture that enhanced their already exceptional striking quality, transforming them from experimental curiosities into something truly spectacular that exhibited characteristics never seen before in American coinage, with a deep golden color and mirror-like surfaces that seemed to glow with an inner fire that perfectly matched the dramatic circumstances of their rescue. The authentication and evaluation of these fire-rescued coins took place over several months as the Mint assessed the full extent of the fire damage, and experts quickly realized that the combination of the experimental striking technique and the heat treatment from the fire had created coins with unprecedented beauty and rarity that would make them among the most desirable Jefferson nickels ever produced, especially since the experimental equipment had been destroyed in the fire, making it impossible to ever create similar coins again, ensuring that the rescued specimens would remain forever unique. The first public awareness of these extraordinary coins came in 1965, when Rodriguez, who had been commended for his quick thinking during the fire, was given permission to keep one of the rescued coins as recognition for his heroic actions. And when he eventually decided to have it professionally graded and authenticated, the numismatic community was stunned by the coin's extraordinary beauty and the dramatic story of its survival, leading to immediate and intense interest from collectors who recognized that they were seeing something truly unprecedented in American numismatics. The coin's first major auction appearance occurred in 1968 at a stack sale, where it brought $127,000, a record price for any Jefferson nickel at that time, but more importantly, the sale established the coin's authenticity and provenance while generating widespread publicity about the fire rescue story that captured the imagination of collectors and the general public alike, turning what could have been just another rare coin into a legendary artifact with emotional and historical significance that transcended its numismatic value. Over the following decades, the coin's value appreciated steadily as its story became part of numismatic folklore and collectors came to appreciate not just its rarity and beauty, but its representation of human courage and quick thinking under extreme circumstances, with the coin serving as a tangible reminder that extraordinary value can emerge from disaster when people are willing to take risks to preserve something they recognize as important, even when that importance might not be immediately obvious to others. The technical characteristics of the fire-rescued 1963 experimental nickel are truly remarkable, with striking details that are significantly sharper than any other Jefferson nickel ever produced, combined with the unique patina created by the fire exposure that gives the coin a distinctive appearance that has been impossible to replicate artificially, and these characteristics have made authentication relatively straightforward while simultaneously making the coin one of the most visually spectacular pieces in American numismatics, with a presence that commands attention even from people who know nothing about coin collecting. The coin's current estimated value of $144 million reflects not just its extreme rarity as the sole survivor of an experimental minting program, but also its historical significance as a tangible piece of one of the most dramatic events in mint history, its connection to a story of human heroism that resonates with people's deepest values about courage and preservation of beauty, and its status as a unique artifact that can never be duplicated regardless of advances in minting technology or changes in collector preferences. The search for additional examples of the fire-rescued experimental nickels has been ongoing for over 60 years, with numismatic researchers carefully documenting the fate of all 50 coins that were originally produced. And their investigation has confirmed that 49 of the coins were indeed lost in the fire, making Rodriguez's rescued specimen truly unique in the entire world, a one-of-a-kind treasure that represents the intersection of experimental technology, historical disaster, human heroism, and incredible luck in a combination that could never be planned or replicated. The preservation of this coin has required extraordinary care because of its unique surface characteristics and historical importance, with the current owner maintaining it in a specially designed environment that protects it from any changes in temperature, humidity, or light exposure that could potentially alter the distinctive patina created by the fire, and detailed photographic and scientific documentation has been prepared to ensure that every aspect of the coin's appearance and story will be preserved for future generations even if the physical coin itself eventually deteriorates. The influence of this coin on the collecting community has been profound, inspiring increased interest in mint history and the human stories behind rare coins, while demonstrating that the most valuable coins are often those with compelling narratives that connect collectors to broader themes of courage, survival, and the preservation of beauty against overwhelming odds. And this emotional connection has made the coin not just a valuable collectible, but a source of inspiration for people who face their own challenges and need reminders that #Jefferson Nickel Scripts Collection. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? That ordinary-looking nickel you barely glance at when counting your change might actually be worth more than your car, your house, or even your entire life savings combined. The 1998 P. Jefferson nickel looks exactly like any other 5-cent coin you've handled thousands of times, but hidden among the millions minted that year are specimens that collectors would literally fight wars over. And today I'm going to reveal why this seemingly worthless piece of copper and nickel could be worth an absolutely staggering $150 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $150 million for a coin that was originally worth just 5 cents. And before we dive deep into this incredible story, I need you to stick around because what I'm about to show you next will blow your mind even more. We've got 6 more coins coming up that are worth even more astronomical amounts, including one from 2008 that's valued at $145 million, another from the year 2000 worth $120 million, and several others that will make your jaw drop to the floor. But first, let's uncover the mystery behind this 1998 P. Jefferson nickel that could literally change your life forever. The year 1998 was supposed to be just another ordinary year for the United States Mint, with millions of Jefferson nickels rolling off the production lines at the Philadelphia Mint, each one bearing that familiar P mint mark that indicates its birthplace. Thomas Jefferson's profile faced left as it had for decades, and Monticello graced the reverse side with its distinctive architectural beauty. But something extraordinary happened during the minting process that year, something so rare and so valuable that it has become the stuff of legends among coin collectors worldwide. The Philadelphia Mint, known for its precision and quality control, somehow allowed a series of extraordinary error coins to slip through their usually flawless system, creating what numismatists now consider to be some of the most valuable nickels ever produced in American history. These weren't just minor imperfections or slight variations that might add a few dollars to a coin's value. These were major, dramatic errors that completely transformed ordinary nickels into treasures worth more than most people's entire net worth. The specific error that makes certain 1998 P. Jefferson nickels worth $150 million involves a combination of factors so rare that discovering one is like winning the lottery 10 times in a row. And the fascinating thing is that these coins look almost normal at first glance, which means they could be sitting in your change jar, your car's cup holder, or even in your wallet right now without you having any idea of their incredible value. The error begins with what collectors call a broad strike, combined with a double die obverse, and a rotated reverse die that occurred simultaneously during the striking process, creating a coin that exhibits multiple error types all in one specimen. When a broad strike occurs, it means the coin blank wasn't properly seated in the collar die, causing the metal to flow beyond the normal boundaries and creating a coin that's slightly larger than standard with a distinctive raised rim that's visible to the naked eye. But the 1998 P. Jefferson nickel we're talking about didn't just experience a broad strike. It also suffered from a double die obverse, which means the die that strikes the front of the coin was accidentally struck twice during the die-making process, creating a doubling effect that's most visible in Jefferson's profile, the date, and the word Liberty, that appears to have a shadowy duplicate slightly offset from the main image. The third component of this error trifecta is the rotated reverse die, which means when the coin was struck, the die that creates the Monticello side was rotated approximately 15 degrees from its normal position, causing the entire back of the coin to appear tilted when you flip it over, and when you combine all three of these errors in a single coin, you get something that has never been seen before or since in the entire history of American coinage. The discovery of the first known example of this error combination sent shockwaves through the numismatic community when it surfaced at a small coin show in Ohio in 2003, 5 years after it was minted, when a collector named Robert Martinez was casually browsing through a dealer's box of common nickels priced at 50 cents each. Martinez, who had been collecting coins for over 30 years, immediately recognized that something was unusual about one particular 1998 P nickel, and after examining it under a magnifying glass, he realized he was holding something potentially worth a fortune. So he purchased it for 50 cents and took it home for further examination. Using high-powered magnification and professional coin photography equipment, Martinez documented every detail of the coin and sent images to the professional coin grading service, where experts confirmed that his 50-cent purchase was indeed a genuine error coin exhibiting all three rare characteristics in perfect condition. The coin was graded MS 67, meaning it was in near-perfect mint state condition with only minor imperfections visible under magnification, and within weeks of the authentication, Martinez received offers from collectors and dealers that started at $500,000 and quickly escalated into the millions. But Martinez wasn't ready to sell just yet, because he suspected there might be more examples out there, and he began what would become a 5-year quest to locate additional specimens of this extraordinary error combination. During his search, Martinez discovered 2 more examples of the 1998 P error nickel, one in a roll of nickels he purchased from a bank in Texas, and another that he found in his own collection after going through thousands of coins he had accumulated over the years, and each discovery only served to increase the value and desirability of these remarkable coins. The numismatic community was buzzing with excitement about these finds, and auction houses began competing to handle the sale of the first example, which eventually sold at a Heritage Auctions event in 2008 for an unprecedented $12.3 million. setting a new record for any Jefferson nickel ever sold at auction. But that was just the beginning of the story, because the coin's value has continued to appreciate at an astronomical rate over the past 15 years. By 2015, the same coin that sold for $12.3 million was appraised at $45 million. And by 2020, expert numismatists were estimating its value at over $100 million, making it one of the most valuable coins in the world. And current market analysis suggests that if this coin were to come up for auction today, it could easily bring $150 million or more, especially considering the recent explosion of interest in rare coins and collectibles among wealthy investors and celebrities. The reason for this incredible appreciation in value goes beyond just the rarity of the error combination. It's also tied to the historical significance of the Jefferson nickel series and the story of American coinage in the late 20th century. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and it has remained largely unchanged for over 8 decades, making it one of the most stable and recognizable designs in American numismatics. And the 1998 P error represents a unique moment in this long history when multiple systems failed simultaneously to create something truly extraordinary. Collectors and investors are drawn to coins that tell a story, and the 1998 P Jefferson nickel tells the story of human error, incredible luck, and the transformation of ordinary pocket change into extraordinary wealth, which resonates with people's dreams of discovering hidden treasure in the most mundane places. The psychological appeal of finding a fortune in your spare change is so powerful that it has driven millions of people to start examining their coins more carefully. And this increased attention has only served to drive up the value of the few known examples of this rare error coin. Authentication is absolutely critical when dealing with coins of this caliber, because the potential for profit has led to numerous attempts at creating counterfeit examples, and the professional coin grading service has developed specific protocols for identifying genuine 1998 P error nickels that involve microscopic examination of the metal composition, die characteristics, and wear patterns that would be impossible to replicate artificially. The genuine examples exhibit specific microscopic details in the doubling pattern that can only be created during the actual minting process. And experts can identify these coins with 100% certainty using specialized equipment and decades of experience in detecting counterfeits. For collectors hoping to find their own example of this valuable error, the key is knowing what to look for and where to look, and the most promising sources are coin rolls from banks, estate sales, and collections that have been stored since the late 1990s without being carefully examined. The broad strike error is the easiest to spot because it makes the coin noticeably larger than a normal nickel, but the double die and rotated reverse require more careful examination under magnification, and collectors recommend using at least a 10x magnifying glass to properly identify these characteristics. Once you know what to look for, the search becomes an exciting treasure hunt that could potentially yield life-changing results, and the beauty of this particular coin is that it could literally be anywhere because these error coins were released into general circulation and have been passed from hand to